Shalum, Shalum and welcome. Welcome to the White Robes Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening nation. These words, these messages, are to those who believe they are drawn by the Almighty Creator, Yahuah, to Yahusha Mashiach. I'm referencing John 6:44. My brothers and sisters, I want to reintroduce a series. I had a series years ago called From Four Corners. So it's not necessarily a reintroduction, but a similarity. I'm going to introduce this new series, and I'm going to refrain from saying whether this would be the last series or not. I think I said that once upon a time, and I ask your forgiveness for things have changed, times have changed, and I am compelled to do as I am doing. In this series, it is entitled From Four Corners to the Promised Land. From Four Corners to the Promised Land. And I'm going to begin with the matter of house limits, the subject of house limits. But before I continue and get into this, I want to say that the views expressed in these videos and podcasts that I put up do not necessarily reflect the owners, management, and or shareholders of this media platform. With that said, welcome to From Four Corners to the Promised Land. The topic of this message is house limits. I will present the case as house limits relates to individuals, our responsibilities, rules, legacies, and sorting things out. My brothers and sisters, the picture you see on this mural is a picture of a mountain known as Yashar'al. Until most recent years, it was guarded and man was not allowed anywhere near it. It is situated in the northwest quadrant of what is now known as Saudi Arabia. And I believe this is the true Mount Sinai. And I believe this is the focal point when all of Yashar'al and the sojourners who are made one by Yahusha Mashiach, those who have been chosen by the Almighty Father that will participate in the final Exodus, will gather to this focal point in and around it. The true Mount Sinai, known as Yashar'al. I see so many brothers and sisters as the awakening have taken place, and even those who are not in the awakening that will wear a medallion or a carved image or promote the picture of the continent Africa with a portion of Africa cut off. Do you not know years ago there was no Middle East? All of that is part of Africa. All of that is part of northeastern Africa, believe it or not. So those who wear those medallions are in sync with promoting that Africa is cut off. That this Middle East, they're embracing this Middle East narrative and propaganda machine. With that said, my brothers and sisters, I could say Yashar'al or the true Mount Sinai is in the northeast part of Africa. But for all legalities perspectives, as man have set up their structure, and for the sake of zeroing in, it is Yashar'al in the northwest quadrant of Saudi Arabia. My brothers and sisters, end times are here. Make no mistake, things are about to get more and more intense. And I want to talk about house limits. There's a verse in 1 Peter 4:17 that says judgment begins at the house of Yahuah first. We are that house, my brothers and sisters. And let me talk about the limitation or a limitation of Noah, Moses, John, and encourage you to reflect on any known loved one. House limitation, that earthen vessel. Let me continue. my brothers and sisters, let me make an adjustment here. House limits. Individuals regarding Noah and Moses. Come with me as I read Genesis chapter 9, 28 through 29. It says, and Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. His house had a limitation. His limit was 950 years. And we know he died. In Joshua chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, it said, and it came to be after the death of Moshe, some will say Moses, the servant of Yahuah, that Yahuah spoke to Yahusha, son of Nun, the assistant of Moshe, saying, Moshe, my servant is dead. So now arise, pass over this Jordan, you and all the people, to the land which I am giving you, to them, to the children of Yashar'al. Limitations, my brothers and sisters. That earthen vessel had a limitation. That earthen vessel, we see in the scripture, we're told, ceased to exist. Let me also read about John. John the Immerser, Yochanan, some will say Yohanan. Come with me to Matthew chapter 14, verse 9 through 12. It says, and the sovereign was sad because of the oath and the guest, he commanded it to be given, and sent and beheaded Yohanan in prison. And his head was brought on a dish and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. And his taught ones came and took away the body and buried it, and went and reported it to Yahusha. John is dead and has been for many years. Now come with me as I read Hebrews 9th chapter, verse 27, 28. It reads, and as it awaits men to die once, and after this judgment, so also the Messiah, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, shall appear a second time, apart from sin, to those waiting for him unto deliverance. My brothers and sisters, the word of Yahuah was manifest in the person of Yahusha before us. But he was indeed Yahuwah's word manifest in the flesh. As for us, my brothers and sisters, we are appointed to die once, then after that, judgment. House limitations, my brothers and sisters. House limits. How many of us have known a loved one that have passed on, that have died? House limits. This earthen vessel has limits. My brothers and sisters, responsibilities. We will find ourselves identifying with the process of going from a babe on milk to meat, growing in maturity. And as we grow in wisdom, as we grow in set apartness, to much one is given, much is required, as it is written. During these end times, there are words of instruction. There are living orders, living guidance given to us. We will find there will be some who come and go. There will be many coming and going among us as the Almighty Father began to position us to how he wants us to be during these last days. House limits. We can walk so far. We can run so fast. We can live so long. But as Deuteronomy 8:3 states, we do not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Almighty Father. Responsibilities. From the least to the greatest among us, there are responsibilities. There are house limits to these earthen vessels. One limit, and I'm just going to talk about in terms of skill, by licensing perspective, given my vision and the way it can be corrected, I could not fly a plane, be allowed to fly a plane. Sure, the Almighty Father can do anything and make things possible. Through my height, I could not walk through a door that's 2 feet high. With each of us, there are functions, there are skills that we have been blessed with by the Almighty Father. We have found favor. We have developed skills and are developing skills. We have expertise in different functions. And with those expertise, with those skills, with those things we've learned over the years, through our coming and going, there are responsibilities. Now I ask you, my brothers and sisters, I said I would ask this question frequently, and I ask the question, are you satisfied with your pastor, your moray, your teacher, your bishop, your deacon? Are you satisfied with the leadership of those whom you fellowship? Are they equipping you with what to do in the event that you're separated, in the event you're unable to reach them? Are they truly strengthening you to be confident in the position that the Almighty Father has given you? Have they confirmed or reaffirmed your calling? Is this the shepherd you want? Would they leave you behind? And if so, what is the narrative? What is the excuse? Or what is the response? Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, end times are here, and we are about to witness many leaderships who are obstacles in the refining of a set-apart nation being disciplined and refined, and some even brought to death. If you look around, many of the so-called champions for our belief and the belief of the Christian environment are beginning to face sickness and death. Mainly those who have the time to study, who have studied the word, who know who we are, who know who the true Hebrews are, but fail to acknowledge it. Many of them will hold on to promoting the veil that attempts to hide this awakening nation. And for that reason, some of them are obstacles. And if they do not repent, will face sickness and physical death at the hand of the Almighty Father. It has begun. When it talks about discipline beginning at the House of Yahuah, yes, there are individuals who are caught up in strongholds of different religions, but in their heart, they're pursuing, they're being drawn by the Almighty Father. They're coming out of the wickedness. Even among some of their teachers, they're coming out of the wickedness. But many of them will hold on to trying to hide who the true Hebrews are. They'll throw the scripture out that we're neither Hebrew nor Greek, we're neither Hebrew nor Gentile, but all one in Yahusha. Failing to recognize that the very book that they say they believe, that Revelation 7 acknowledges that the 12 tribes of Yashar'al will emerge. So we must recognize who the true Hebrews are. Failing to recognize, how can you say many nations, kindreds, and tongues when you say, oh, it doesn't matter what nationality you are? You see so many walking contradictions. Discipline is coming in these end times, O Yashar'al, and there are those who will be refined and admit their faults, and there will be those that will be taken to their grave. In 1 Corinthians 5, it mentions an example of someone that was a whoring. And Shalum said, deliver them to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved. See, the spirit may be saved. That's talking about a brother. And it's talking about delivering them to Satan for the destruction of the flesh. So his flesh faces the punishment, the discipline from the Almighty Father. In some cases, it will bring individuals to death. There will be coming and going. There will be changes in leadership, O Yashar'al. End times, in the midst of COVID-19, there will be other plagues and diseases. There are those that are already known to man, but they do not get much press. Collectively, or living person on this planet. From a natural perspective, we are on a collision course from a practical perspective towards extinction. To the believer, to you, O Yashar'al, who this message is to, we are on an appointed time before the resurrection and judgment day before the Almighty Father, and we will live forever with him. Yashar'al, our responsibilities come in part. How many of us are recognizing what it is that we do, what it is that we're learning, that we are important? You are important, my brother, my sister. You are significant to the coming together of Yashar'al. You are significant to the lifting up of Yahusha Mashiach. You are significant as a member of the body of Yashar'al, consisting of both Hebrews and Gentiles made one by Yahusha Mashiach. But our work is in part, for we are many members, but one in him. Let me read 1 Corinthians 13, 9 and 10. For it reads, for we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part shall be inactive. Let me continue, my brothers and sisters. There are rules. Now, sure, many of us look at rules. Many of us, what we fail to recognize is the word Torah means instructions, rules, laws, statutes. So many people have been fooled to believe that the Torah, the only Torah, is the first 5 books of Moses, of Musha. This is incorrect. There were instructions given by the Almighty Father before Musha. There were instructions given to Musha to write the 10 Commandments, laws, and statutes before Yashar'al. And there are more and more instructions even after his death. If you isolate just the first 5 books in the scriptures, then what then are the other books? Do they not provide instructions? Do they not present rules, teachings, governance, lessons to be learned? Were they not inspired by the Almighty Father? You see, my brothers and sisters, truth will come. There are rules. Let's continue. The most common of rules, of course, are the 10 Commandments. What you see here, my brothers and sisters, is the 10 Commandments in chapter 20, Exodus chapter 20. Now, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, so there are some information that I would skip because I'm basically want to read the actual 10 Commandments. The first one, you shall have no other mighty ones against my face. Believe it or not, habits and strongholds pushes individuals into idolatry. In some cases, in many cases, one of the most disheartening disciplines that's coming are these pastors, mores, and teachers, evangelists that are about to face sickness and death because they elevate themselves over the Almighty Father. They may mention his name, but they talk about themselves more than they talk about the Almighty Father, more than lifting up Yahusha, more than obeying him. Second commandment, do not make yourself a carved image or any likeness of which is in the heavens above, which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters underneath the earth. But yet we see people running around with copies or images of a menorah. We even see people who are waking up in this set-apart nation wearing lions on their face because of the lion of the tribe of Yehudah, or because of vanity. They want to show lion. We're not lions. Lion of the tribe of Yehudah is speaking of the function of strength that you can identify with a lion. We were never ordered to put lions on our chests. and wear images. We see assembly places. We see shirts. We see garments. We see hats. We even see jewelry where people are putting images up of a menorah, a lion. In some cases, they're promoting images of their camp. More so than speaking of Yahusha, they're lifting and magnifying individuals whose community or camp or group would rather push their name and their identity. My brothers and sisters, there were set apart Yashar'al throughout the scriptures. We were never instructed to put labels on our prospective fellowships and promote them strongly. Many are violating this commandment and don't even realize it. It says, you do not bow down to them nor serve them, for I am Yahuwah, your Almighty One, am a jealous all, visiting crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. You do not bring the name of Yahuwah, your Almighty One, to naught, for Yahuwah does not leave the one unpunished who brings his name to naught. My brothers and sisters, there are those who will speak more of their name. The more you speak of your own name, when it comes to instructing a brother or sister in the space of time, during the moments that you are to be preaching or teaching, something is wrong. Do not use his name in vain. Do not try to hide his name. And this thing with all these compromising acceptances of how Yahuwah's name is pronounced will come to an end in these end days. And those who say, don't push your conviction, what you get, I say his name differently. For each region a person is in, they have been exposed as a result of being scattered by the hand of Yahuwah to different languages and cultures. Therefore, they use different languages. We will witness what name the Almighty Father is to be addressed by. We will witness that it is indeed Yahuwah, the Almighty One. And we will witness that it is through Yahusha Mashiach, Yahusha. Pray and watch. I even give the example, my brothers and sisters, if you had several glasses, and each glass is filled with different types of debris and dirt, and you was thirsty, and you know you have to work hard. Which glass do you think had more water in it? The one with less dirt and debris, or the one with most of the dirt and debris? See, the one that have less requires less filtering, and therefore the volume of water is much more. Now you might say, what does this mean? And I'm saying to you, as you hear all the different names for Yahuwah, the Almighty Father, as you hear all the different names for the Messiah, Yahusha, look at which one is providing you with the instructions that are reflective of set-apartness. Look at the ones that are providing you with understanding, that is sharpening you, that is pushing you closer to the Almighty Father versus those that aren't. There's a difference. Another commandment. You do not bring the name of Yahuwah to naught. I read that, but verse 8 says, let me correct that while I'm at it. Verse 8, Exodus 20th chapter. It speaks of not bringing the name of Yahuwah. And then, before that, my mistake. And then we come into Shabbat. Shabbat, my brothers and sisters. I want to fix that slide, though the print may be small. Well, not maybe, though the print is small. I will still fix it. You can zoom in, pause it, and possibly zoom in, or you could turn to that passage. Exodus 20th chapter. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. These end times will prove to be intense, not for the purpose of just beating us down and leaving us there, These end times are getting intense for us to learn how to humble ourselves before the Almighty Father and do what is right. How much do we love Yahusha HaMashiach? How much are we willing to do what is right and set apart in his eyes? How much are we willing to release the strongholds of, that's what everybody else say, that's what the majority say, as it relates to the name? Are you so confident in the name that that's the name you're willing to die by? Again, who's providing you with more set apart instruction? Who's reflecting more of what is set apart? Exodus 20th chapter, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to set it apart. 6 days you labor and shall do all work, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of Yahuah, your Almighty One. You do not do any work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. Respect your father and your mother so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which Yahuah, your Almighty One, is giving you. You do not murder. You do not commit adultery. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. My brothers and sisters, believe it or not, there are many leaders, mores, teachers, pastors, deacons, elders, who falsely accuse the obedient when they are ordered to deliver messages of correction before the set-apart body of Yashar'al. There's a lot of false witness going on because one have not heard the full matter from those who are obedient. Now, I am not suggesting, nor will I ever suggest, we can agree to disagree. That is not scriptural. Nor would I suggest that one exercise quid pro quo. You listen to me, so I listen to you. End times will prove a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency will be needed, will be demanded. Oh, Yashar'al. We will grow to know in that sense of urgency, it will require us to discern, confirm, and acknowledge the presence of the Almighty Father, Yahuah, in Yahusha's name, his voice speaking to us and through us. We will come away from arguing and debating. Let those who are of like minds remain in their position. And let those who are willing to yield to what is indeed happening that is true, yield to the correction that will come, O Yashar'al. Yes, there are rules and more rules. The 10 Commandments bring some, and there are even more. Many are bearing false witness, breaking that commandment more than they realize. But correction is coming. The last one, you do not covet your neighbor's house. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. My brothers and sisters, end times are here. 10 Commandments, rules. There'll be rules as we prepare, as movement begin to ramp up. More rules. John 15, verse 14 through 17. John 15, verse 14 through 17 reads, "You are my friends, and if you do whatever I command you, no longer do I call you servants. For a servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends, for all teachings which I heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he might give you. These words I command you, so that you love one another." Though initially the Mashiach is talking to his taught ones, it refers to us as well. And he tells us what to do. These words I command you, not I'm asking you, I command you that you love one another. John 13, 34 and 35 say, "A renewed command," not suggestion, a command I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. But this shall all know that you are my taught ones, if you have love for one another. Believe it or not, love is doing what's best, my brothers and sisters. What's best is what the desires of the Almighty Father has for us. More rules. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 17 to 21 reads, "So then, do not be foolish, but understand what the desires of Yahuah is. And do not be drunk with wine, which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Spirit." This is not a suggestion. These are rules. To walk filled with the Spirit, we must not be drunk with wine, to be filled with the Spirit. Speaking to each other in psalms, songs of praise and spiritual songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master, giving thanks always for all to the Almighty One, the Father, in the name of our Master Yahusha Messiah, subjecting yourselves to each other in the fear of the Almighty One. My brothers and sisters, there are rules. There are things that we must begin to take more serious and stop taking for granted. The final exodus will come, but in its coming will be martyrs for Yahusha's name. Some of us will die for Yahusha's name. Some of us will die because of unbelief, unlearned, and find ourselves led astray. Some of us will be left behind. It is written that he reigned on the just and the unjust. But between now and then, if you can agree that this is the last days, we are in the end times, we will soon witness what is necessary to bring all of Yashar'al that will fulfill the final exodus together. You may hear me talk about this often, but at some point, something that I say may trigger that you didn't catch before. My confidence, my trust, my belief is that Isaiah 55:11 will have its place. And it speaks of the words of Yahuah not returning to him void or empty. So if I'm saying anything that renders life, it will stir, it will latch on to you, it will stir within you, it will prove to be a necessity during these end times. But there's so much to recognize, Yashar'al. Legacies. What are we leaving behind? What are we teaching those who are younger than us? What are we teaching our children, our grandchildren, the children among our community? What demonstrations are we doing that we want them to imitate or even do better? I've seen communities where they use profanity without conviction, and they justify it with wicked excuses. Yes, they curse and use profanity. Some even use the excuse because in other countries they use that word frequently and it's normal. Their kids do it. We're not supposed to be doing what other kids do or what other countries do. That is so wicked, ignorant. And I can even say that is a stupid and rebellious thing to do, to justify using profanity. Do you want your kids? What if your kids came up to you using that kind of language that you use to you? We can learn, my brothers and sisters, if we begin to ask, is this what we want our children to do? Is this how we want our children? What legacies? Are we teaching them to grow, to identify seeds, to grow crop? Are we teaching them of what crops you can grow, such as cotton, flax, or jute? Are we teaching them how to twist it into string and fabric? You see, my brothers and sisters, there are some things we will grow to know and appreciate from its beginning to its end. There are limits, my brothers and sisters. There are house limits. These earthen vessels can do so much, can speak so much, can say so much. But we will learn the importance of legacies, the importance of generations. You see, Even in the feast times in Leviticus 23rd chapter, we read about guarding Shabbat, guarding the feast times, passing it on from generation to generation. And there are those who would rather argue over whether we can keep the feast times while in captivity or not. And they spend time divided because of that, instead of saying, what is it about the feast times that we can pass from generation to generation, no matter where we are? If we can discern the purpose, that it is a great, great vetting tool, examination tool, when made alive, the sequence that it presents, the purposes that it presents, can help us minimize being burned, taken advantage of, minimize us from being deceived, minimize us from spending too much time with a wolf in sheep clothing. There are instructions and orders given by the Almighty Father to pass on from generation to generation. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, there are those among us alive now who I believe will be physically alive upon the physical return of Yahusha Mashiach. We are the generation, the last generation. Who ever given thought to the fact that society, most of the industrialized society, have labeled this generation Generation Z? Who has looked at Generation Z and looked at global warming and climate change, which leads to extinction? Could it be that even those outside of the set-apart family recognize man is on a collision course to extinction? Could all this political theater that we are seeing be a major distraction because they don't know how to respond and don't want to respond to the plan of the Almighty Father the way they believe they should respond? Theater, my brothers and sisters. Believe it or not, the legacies, the generations of these earthen vessels have house limits. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, as end times ramp up, we will find loved ones dying that we can't attend their funerals, loved ones dying that we can't gather and mourn over them. Soon and very soon, as movement comes, the need to sort things out will be even more prevalent, my brothers and sisters. There are beginnings and there are ends. Our emotions, our mental state, even our spiritual state will be challenged in the coming of days. We have a destination, O Yashar'al, individually and collectively. We will identify tasks that we have been given, and they will be confirmed, and we will rise up in the power and might given to us by the Almighty Father. There will be many surprises ahead. Extraordinary times are coming, O Yashar'al. But there are house limits. We must recognize those limitations. The scriptures use us as an example of a body with many members. The hand can do so much. The knee can do so much. Inside, what we don't look at every day, the kidney, the liver, can do so much. Even the part that is not attractive, having a bowel movement, we can only spit out so much waste at a time. It can only do so much. Eating food, we can only put so much food into this body at a given time. We can only do so much. House limits, my brothers and sisters. These earthen vessels, our bodies, to you who are set apart, we are in training mode to be a functioning, everlasting being. This is the training mode while we're in these earthen vessels. This is the stage of a transformation that is to come. In 1 John, it said, we do not know what we will be like, but when we see him, we shall be as he is, for we shall see him as he is. It lets us know even that there isn't even marriage, nor one given into marriage. We will be some phenomenal beings, my brothers and sisters, beyond these earthen vessels. It is written that the earthen vessels will go back to the earth, will go back to the dirt. It is written that there will be a new heaven and a new earth. The elements will melt. It is written that when we physically die, those that belong to the Almighty Father will go to that place. It doesn't say heaven or Symmanayah. It goes to that place that Yahuah has for us to rest until Judgment Day. And those who die who are not set apart go to what we commonly say as hell. Yashar'al, this is training ground. How we perceive, how we focus, how we look going forward, and how we respond will make a big difference in how we're able to endure what is unfolding. My brother, my sister, house limits. Perception will make a big difference. Discipline, vengeance, and wrath, as widespread death and destruction enlarge upon the face of the earth. Let us look at it as this is the plan of the Almighty Father. Let us look at it that yes, he's disciplining and refining me. I'm in training for everlasting life. And these things that are here on this earth physically, these too shall pass. House limits. My brothers and sisters. And as the pain comes, as the struggle comes, as the desire to endure comes, I encourage you to go to Proverbs 4. Read it, 4:23 through 27. I think it is 27 or 28. Bear with me a second, and I'll tell you in a minute. My brothers and sisters, it speaks on focus. And if we're able to discern the life of it, this is how we will be able to know how to endure until the very end. My brothers and sisters, it's by focusing and discerning the voice of the Almighty Father. 27. It's not a 28 verse in there. So Proverbs 4:23 through 27 talks about focusing. Focusing. It will require sometimes being silent. It will require sometimes opening our eyes to see. It will require sometimes using our ears, spiritual and physical. Focus. How much and how many times have your pastor, your moray, your teacher, your deacon, your elder, your counselor, your spiritual influencer, how much have they spoken about focus and discern the voice of the Almighty Father sent in Yahusha's name? Are they equipping you with what you need? Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, house limits. And if not them, who? My brothers and sisters, the picture you see behind me is a picture of Jabal Allah, the true Mount Sinai, the burnt top mountain. And there are those out there who would rather say that the promised land is in South Central Africa. Let them be. But those who promote that as South Central Africa, look at them. Look at what they're teaching. Look at what they're presenting. Are they filling your cup up with water, the word of Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name that gives you the instruction? Or are they all over the place? Are they demonstrating recklessness and inability to discern what the Almighty Father is saying to us? You see, my brothers and sisters, it would be better to say, I don't know. I heard this, but I don't know. But when you say I kind of lean to believe, I tend to believe, and even if you throw in the Almighty One, or Yah told me, or my Ruach spoke to me, and I feel in my Ruach that is South Central Africa, lying, saying that he said something he didn't, comes with its reward. Are you ready for a reward for wickedness? I am compelled to believe with all my being, with all my mind, body, and soul, that Jabal, our laws, is the true Mount Sinai, that it is the central focal point. If you was looking at the final wheels of Ezekiel, that core would rest in the area around the true Mount Sinai. Watch what happens, my brothers and sisters. As movement comes, it will come with instructions, verification of destinations, house limits. There are limits for individuals. Even in our responsibility, there are limits. Even in the rules that we face, there are limits. Even in what we produce as legacies for our children, there are limits. Even when it comes to sorting things out, there are limits. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, let us face the reality that we are in training for transformation into an everlasting being that the scriptures speak of. And let us lean and trust in the Almighty Father. Let us fear him, and we will receive the knowledge that is necessary for us to know what to do, when to do it, with whom, where to go, and how. On that note, O Yashar'al, I say to you, I salute your patience, I salute your tolerance, I salute your ability to continue to function and move towards worshiping and obeying the Almighty Father. My prayer is that you are in good health, that you're growing in discernment, and that you learn, that we learn how to respond correctly. In the name of Yahusha, I come to you. My name is Symmanayah, and this begins the series from Four Corners to the Promised Land. Stay tuned. There is so much more to come, O Yashar'al. For as I live and breathe, I know of no other direction to turn. I invite your fellowship. I invite your comments, your questions. And I believe some of you I will meet at some point in time, and some I will not. And I know it's not about me, O Yashar'al, but it is about building up, lifting up Yahusha, witnessing him draw all men to himself. This is where we find ourselves gathering at that common point, which is he who is the word of Yahuah, manifest, sacrifice, resurrected, whose spirit came in the name of Yahusha. On that note, be encouraged. Until next time, I say to you, my brother, my sister, my family, there are house limits. And with that said, let us complete our work as a sign. In the name of Yahusha, again, I come to you. Shalum.